Hello and welcome to your Module 6 video. So we've already flown through Modules 4 and 5. Module 6 is certainly the longest, biggest module. It's usually where people maybe fall behind a little bit and where I get the most requests for extensions. So if you feel the need to do so, don't worry, you are not the first and you won't be my last. It is the biggest module, but once it is done, the majority of the course really is done. So let's get into it. There are 4 parts to it, is what really makes it longer. So the first part is usually the first question that students ask on the very first day, is what this course is about. And it's also the first thing that you get asked to do, is create a course outline. So you've been hired for this new position, here is the course code, and the principal basically says, and tomorrow can you give me your course outline? So basically within a day you have to figure out everything that you're going to teach in that course and outline it. Seems very overwhelming, but certainly you're not the first person to teach these courses unless you've picked an ethic course code. So there are lots of course outlines out there. I encourage you to have a look at them. Keep in mind that a lot of them that you're going to find are from the old curriculum, and not a lot of them online have been updated to the new 2013 curriculum. So look when you're creating yours to make sure that it's keeping up to date with the new expectations that are on there. There is always an option to decide to weight the knowledge, the TAC or the TICA or whatever you want to call the acronym there, knowledge, thinking, communication, application. This is a huge debate in my board right now because we've moved to a new grading system that allows us to do some maneuvering and percentage difference between those. Myself personally, I am a fan of equally weighted and assess it all together, but by all means, if you feel a certain way you want to divide that, just keep in mind that you have to stay consistent. So every single test or project that you give, if you've decided to weight one thing higher than the other, then make sure the marks are aligned to that as well. So that's the first part, is you're going to create a course outline and then make some comments about that in the discussion posts. When you do that, keep in mind the learning goals and success criteria as well. If these are not words in your regular vocabulary, you don't know what I'm talking about, there are some resources in there to go to EduGains and to find out more. But learning goals is basically the actual expectations put into kid-friendly language that usually are posted somewhere in the room or part of your lesson, or something that is said or done or written on the board or whatever you do. And success criteria is a new way of framing or looking at rubric, and most importantly co-constructing that with the students, of talking together of how you think something should be marked, of whatever it is that you're going to be looking at. So make sure you keep that in mind as well as you move through this module. The next thing that usually students ask you pretty much on the first day is how am I going to be marked? In secondary, there is a mandatory 70-30% split. So 70% of the coursework of everything that you do in all of the units, whether it's tests, whether it's projects, or whatever else you've come up with, that is the 70%. And then the 30% is some culminating tasks match with the exam, and then you get to decide what is worth what. So say my history class right now, their culminating is worth 15 and their exam is 15. But in my English class, their culminating is worth 20% and their exam is worth 10. So you change it up depending on what is happening. So there is the culminating at the end of the course that ideally touches on all the strands and kind of reviews the whole course all together. And then there are culminating activities, or some people like to call it summative activities if you're looking for resources, that happen at the end of each unit. All right, so this particular section gets you to think about deeply what is going to be that big thing that is going to be part of that 30% for the whole course. If you prefer to think of whatever the end thing that's going to be at the end of your unit that you are developing, you could also think about that as well. Both things, but we're looking for a general idea of something big that the students would do at the end of the whole course, or at the end of a unit, and then respond to other people's in the discussions as usual. And then daily, kids come into your room and ask you what we're doing today. So this is part 3. What are we learning about? So this is a chance for you to start diving into the course code that you have selected to do your whole unit plan on, and start actually looking for a lesson idea. Try and find something that's out there, preferably a whole lesson plan if you can find something written out, but it might just be an idea or a blog post or something that you found that connects to your course, and then critique it. All right, what would you do to improve it? How would you add some 21st century skills into it, some critical thinking, put some more technology into it, add the engagement factor into it. So you're going to take that idea and then mash it, figure out what you want to do. Usually this is also connected to the actual assignment that you're going to do for this courses or for this module as well, which actually is creating a detailed lesson plan. So keep that in mind. It's just a chance for you to dive in there, look for a great idea, and share it with the rest of the group. And then part 4 is to just take a moment to think about what. Why are we making students do this? This is something that should be hopefully in the back of your mind in every single lesson that you do, in every single class that you come across. Why are the students doing this? The so what? How does this help them? And really trying to engage them in that higher order thinking. What is going to get them to turn off their phones and engage in the actual process of thinking? Just a moment there in this particular discussion post to really think about that. What is critical thinking? How will you know that thinking is actually happening in your classroom? So that is what that last discussion post is about. So there are 4 discussion posts, and of course you have to respond to somebody in each one. And then there is a large assignment. See why some people ask for extensions? It's fine. This is where you actually have to write a detailed lesson plan, and I'm sorry, it's the only time I'm going to ask you to do that. The unit plan does not require you to have a detailed lesson plan every day, but this is the one snapshot that I get to see of your actual teaching without actually being able to visit your classrooms, and there's no longer a practicum piece, so we have to somehow gauge and look at your planning skills in some kind of way, and the lesson plan is still the best bet for that. So make sure whatever you're planning is an exciting lesson. Not to knock movie days, they're just as important as well, but think about whatever lesson you're going to submit for this is something that is really engaging, shows your top-notch skills for planning, shows DI, shows either technology integration, how would it appeal to millennials. Think about if I was actually coming to visit your classroom, this would be the most exciting lesson you'd hope I'd come and visit during that unit. And it should be connected to the unit. It should be in some kind of way. Maybe it's the first lesson, maybe it's all like hooks and gathering stuff into it, or maybe it's the last lesson and getting them engaged in their culminating project. Whatever it is, just make sure it's something exciting that shows the best of your skills. And then that is it for Module 6, but that is a lot. So I do apologize, but yes, the rest of the modules after this are pretty easygoing. There is a lot to cover in this, but it is basically, the beginning of the course of like creating that course outline and going through the processes from there. And really all of this is building towards your actual unit plan that you have to submit for the end. All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Everyone's doing really well in the course, so looking forward to seeing all these great ideas that you're going to find for this module. Take care.